Hello, welcome to the Lately in JavaScript Hangout. From now on, all these recordings will be called Hangout, no more podcast, because we have audio, we have video. And this time again, I have here Arturs Sosins. Hello, Arturs. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm actually doing quite awesome in this evening, sitting in a cozy home where it's warm.
Yeah.
I have a JS classes based PHP elephant with me to keep me warm.
It's always great to have a JS classes elephant. That doesn't sound quite right, but okay. Well, it's great to know that it's very warm in your country now, because over here it has been warm, but not. But it starts raining, so it's more pleasant actually right now because it has been hell in the latest days. Well, anyway, let's move on with this podcast. We have several interesting topics, as always, to talk about, and we'll be doing a sort of a review of several libraries and other things, other happenings that occurred in the latest weeks, latest month. And I'm going to start here with a library that is actually unusual. I haven't not seen this yet, which is basically a library named Nunjucks. I think that's the right way to spell it. And it seems to be for processing templates in asynchronously, and I say it seems because I was not quite sure that that what it does in practice. Here it says asynchronous templates can be paused in the middle of rendering and resumed later. This sounds interesting because it's not usual, but I could not quite figure what exactly the way it works. I can see here in the examples that you can have a template here, and then you can configure some views with this template and add some filters with callback functions. So I suppose that sometime in the process, this callback function is called to render this template. They call it filter here, but I'm not sure if this is filter or would be a template a mark, because that's what we have here. I'm not sure. Arturs, did you understand well how this works?
Well, basically, as it seems that the markers are the ways to call some JavaScript function to modify the object and print it in a specific format or something like that. For example, if we have a user object and we assign it to some key format name, and then in code we add this format name as a filter and callback function for this object. So basically, when parser probably finds the format name key, it calls the callback for the filter and modifies the object to present the name in the way we intended it to. So basically it some kind of generates, not generates, it calls the different JavaScript callback functions based on the placeholders.
Yeah.
If you look, for example, further, there are some examples where it can also even render other HTML files, which also may include templates, and thus it could work asynchronously.
Yeah, for instance, I'm looking here and it says add filter for some name called get category, and it has assigned a callback function that basically it calls. It seems to be a call to a database access library, and well, if this is it seems to be a value that is not obtained immediately because there is a callback function here for that is called probably when it succeeds or fails.
Yeah, returns it from database.
So this dbget does not it's just for computing some value, because it does not seem to assign any result to the return function of this. So I'm not sure how this works in practice. Probably there is some other step that actually assigns the values to the template marks. I don't know. Well, anyway, we just wanted to mention it here because it seems interesting, innovative. We actually I actually some time ago in the PHP classes I remember having talked about how to take advantage of asynchronous calls to process data from a database. For instance, if you have a database call to retrieve data to fill in some templates, I mean some values of a template, you could have it be retrieved from the database in multiple queries, and synchronously it would be able to render the template in parallel with the database query. So the result would be eventually faster. I'm not sure if this would work well in practice. Anyway, the idea was to just talk about in that article, talk about asynchronous programming.
Yeah, because this kind of template is actually not something you see every day.
Yeah, exactly. Well, at least for many of us that a great part of the time are not really working with JavaScript on the server side. It's more on the browser side. But well, I think this probably can also be used on the browser side. For instance, with template values that are retrieved from the server using Ajax calls. I think that could be an interesting use case. Well, anyway, this is just to mention briefly about this library. So we are now going to move on to a different library, also not very usual, at least in my point of view. It is called Steelbreeze. Steelbreeze is a library for processing states and transitions of state machines. I also had an hard time trying to figure out how exactly this works, because looking at the example here, trying to zoom it a bit to make it more clear, we can see there is this diagram of what seems to be a state machine, and then there's some sample code. I take it that the sample code here is actually what calls the library, because it defines some states, some pseudo states, composite states, simple states, final states.
Yeah, actually, as you see, I think that new region, it means it's the actual state machine. So var controller is a state machine.
Right.
Then you define all the states, and in the end you initialize the machine.
Right. And then it defines transitions between the states. So I suppose there should be something that would actually start the state machine engine.
Yeah, basically you initialize it, and it probably goes to some default or first initiated state, and then from it you can travel to other states. And I think that above the page, that is exactly what the example shows.
Yeah. Well, maybe this is just part of an example. It's not a full example. Anyway, here you can see at the top, you can see it animated. You can click on play, and it will start. And then you can see that it seems to be running in the running state. So you can click on these buttons to move to other states. Like if you click on flip, it will go to the flip state.
Yeah, as for flip, you can go on with
state.
Yeah.
And the only way to go to another state is to have some action to click on flip again, right? And then it goes back to running, and from running it could be to pause, stop, or flip again. Well, this is what was defined here by this code below. It's just an example. How it is used in practice is still a bit abstract, but I think
I actually read one article lately that described using state machines in the game implementation. For example, your character could be running to the left, to the right, jumping, but to jump he needs to touch the ground. So basically there should be a state that he's touching the ground or not, and that this could be paralleled with a state machine design, and so it actually might be easier to implement than you implement the if case and if statements and something else. That it might be even easier to implement with state machine. So that could be one of the usage.
Well, that makes sense for those kinds of applications. There are also applications that use state machines, which are, for instance, parsers. Parsers also also can use state machines to make it more efficiently, but usually there are tools to generate the parser, so you don't have to be bothered to understand how it works internally as a state machine. Well, anyway, this is just to mention another interesting, although a bit abstract, library. So we are going to move on to another interesting library, hopefully much simpler to explain. This one is actually called Zoomerang, and it's easier explained by showing a demo. Basically, it zooms anything that is on the screen. So we click here, it zooms some element. Click a word, it zooms another element. Oh wait, I click on a link. That one
becomes annoying.
So the author is a bit exhibitionist because he's just wanted to show that he has a Google Glass, which is totally unrelated with the library. But zooming is what it is for, just to put certain elements on the page in more evidence. Yeah, well,
that is actually quite interesting idea.
There are some things that are not zoomable. Well, this can be interesting to improve user interfaces that have small things on screen, and when you click them, that they become larger and
like disclaimers.
Yeah, but disclaimers are usually hidden by scroll bars, not small print. Well, it depends, but that's the common practice. So now moving on to another interesting library. This one is something that I almost skipped, but then I looked again, and for some reason I decided to give it some attention because it seems more interesting than it looked initially. Basically, it is a library called Genie.js, which allows you to type actions that you want to do, for instance, on a site, and you are not able to figure how to do them. So here it says control space, and it is interesting because it lets you type some words. For some reason,
dark.
Yeah, for some reason it already entered lamp, so it was not me. So when you type lamp, you can see several actions that you can do on this page.
Choose the dark.
Dark. Okay. Click on dark, and you almost do not see it, but it changed the menu enters to dark because it fades away. But now bringing it up, it appears.
Okay, so it actually also filters in what state you are, and basically if you are in dark, then you could only select white. It's more.
Yes. That's a good point. I have not noticed that detail. For some, there is probably some reason. There is probably some way to do that. Probably some way to define which options appear depending on the current.
Which are self-exclusive.
So we can make the lamp fast.
It fades fast. Okay.
Yeah.
Small also.
Okay, and there are many other actions.
You need to post apostrophe, I think, to see all actions.
Yeah, that's what is written there. So if you click on apostrophe, it shows all the possible actions, so you can review them all. And this is interesting precisely to improve usability. Lately, I've been a bit concerned about improving the usability of JS classes and PHP classes pages, specifically package pages, because some people have been rightfully complaining about the pages are too cluttered. And if they are too cluttered, they're probably not being able to find the information they are looking for. So I am studying sort of redesign for those pages, not just in terms of presentation, but also in functionality. I know that some people, when they look at a page that cannot find what they think they should, they probably leave, or at least stare at the pages for a while until they give up. And the idea is probably to provide things like this, that when the user seems to be wondering, it probably shows some prompt or some flashing on the screen to hint the user to click here or do this, do that,
or make an assistant of it.
Exactly, that's the point. When you are in a certain page, there are not many types of actions that you can do, but if the user cannot figure exactly what are the actions that he wants to do, and he really cannot go anywhere he wants. He'll leave the site, and the user is lost, is frustrated, and that's not the way user interface should work. So some usability is in order. There are things that I have in mind to tackle that problem, but I have not yet figured the whole solution. I have not have the whole picture of things. I'm trying to think of a user interface that does not require the user to scroll, because if the user needs to scroll, you already becomes annoyed, because scrolling too much to find something that you want, it means that what you want should be probably at the top, not at the bottom, or some other different page, different position of the page. And I also am thinking about making things as much as possible touch enabled. As much as sites like this tend to be used more by desktop users, if you make them ready for touch devices, I think users enjoy them better, because often touch is the best way to interact when they are using those devices that probably do not have a real keyboard, or like mobiles and tablets.
Yeah.
But well, this is just an idea. I don't know if you have any ideas.
What actually you need is a responsive design, and you need to create it with a mobile first approach. So you first concentrate on the content what should be displayed, minimal content what should be displayed for mobiles, and then add additional stuff to PCs and monitors and such.
Right. That probably makes sense with many sites, but developers do not tend to use much their mobile devices when they are developing. What I meant about making it touch enabled is to, for instance, if you have a list of files that have subdirectories like the package pages, you probably could swipe to move on to the subdirectories or back to the parent directory. But well, this is just an idea. There is nothing certain. I'm just evaluating possibilities. And if you or anybody else has any ideas, I certainly would like to listen, because sometimes I'm too much over it and probably cannot see what is evident for others that are not over this site all the time. Well, anyway, this is just a comment regarding this library that seems to probably be useful to make sites more usable when users are not sure what to do and how to do it. Well, anyway, moving on to the next topic. Another interesting component that I found here, it's called Headroom.js, and it's basically to make your top menu show and hide according to the way you are scrolling your pages. So let me increase the font here. Here you see the menu region at the top, and if you scroll, after a while it disappears. So there seems to be a certain rule to make it disappear depending on the scroll level. So when the menu disappears, the visible part of the page is more becomes larger, and as you go back to scroll up, it shows the menu again, because you probably want to see something that is in the menu, and it would take a lot of time to scroll all the way up to the top of the page. So this seemed to be interesting. I don't know if you have seen this before, Arturs. What did you find? Do you think it's? I've seen things like this in several sites. I think Google Plus is something like that.
One definite purpose. It's very small, so if you exactly need this functionality, that is actually a cool library. You can scroll down to show the options, what else you can set there. For example, the offset, the tolerance, how many pixels you should scroll before changes, the state changes for pins or unpins. Then you can change class names and provide different callbacks. And as I see, it also works with plain.js or jQuery or AngularJS. So Arthur actually thought about it.
Right, it seems to be an independent library, but it provides means to be integrated with other common libraries. So I found this interesting. Now we are going to move on to something that I have not yet announced in the site at the time of this recording, but we'll announce soon. So I thought I could anticipate here in the recording, since the actual hangout will only be published in a few days after it is transcribed. So what I'm talking about is an initiative that was started several years ago, and it is called the JavaScript Zeitgeist. You probably remember that every year Google publishes what they call the Google Zeitgeist, which is basically to look back at the top trending searches of the previous year. So they usually publish it in December, but here in the JS classes and also the PHP classes site, I wait until January so I can have a full year of 2013 in this case. So the way this works is that it computes the top searched keywords, and then it builds a ranking that only shows the keywords, the top 100 keywords that became relevant, so excluding the keywords that were relevant in the previous years. So as you may see here, you can see there is a list of the top 100 keywords. There is also a tag cloud, which probably it seems a bit odd because tag clouds have gone out of fashion, but okay, this was something that was not changed.
Yeah, it's so 2013.
No, it's not even 13. It's like 2007 or something, or probably older. Well, anyway, this year it was just an update. Nothing was really changed in the algorithms or even the presentation, so you still see the tag cloud here. It's still useful because it highlights some keywords more than others, depending on how frequent they were. So here in the ranking, you can see there is a number here, which is obviously the number in the top 100 ranking, and apart from the keyword, there is a rank here, which is the number of the ranking, this in the overall ranking of searches. In this case, the first one appears in the 330 position. And this means that in this year, 2013, there were 329 other keywords that were more searched than this. And this appears first because that's the first that from all keywords that did not feature in the previous years. As you may see here above, you can click on other tabs to see what were the top trending searches in the previous years. In the case of JS classes, it was started in 2010 because that's when the site was created. But in the PHP classes, it was created in the year 1999. But the search engine was only introduced in the year 2000. So you see all the years up to the year 2000 for PHP classes. Anyway, just before somebody gets the wrong idea, this is based on searches done on the JS classes site, not on Google. The Google Zeitgeist is about the searches on Google, and the JavaScript Zeitgeist is about searches on 2013. Anyway, looking at these searches, I have not yet done an analysis like I did in PHP classes already, which is to group all these keywords according to topics. But looking briefly here at this ranking, I can see that probably some keywords are not exactly about what all JavaScript developers are looking for. They are more about searches done by specific PHP JS classes users. And it is even interesting to notice that this probably will be reviewed and filtered again, but in some cases we even see people searching for PHP components, which is not something that you will find in this site. This is more JavaScript. Anyway, looking at the searches in general, I can see that a great part of the searches are about specific libraries, like for instance D3. D3 is a library that became popular in the latest times. I don't know when exactly it was launched for the first time, but this ranking seems to reflect that this year there have been more people searching for it. And there are other libraries. You can also look here, and people seem to have been looking for them.
Yeah, what actually I think the most valuable thing from the JavaScript Zeitgeist is for other authors to see what other members, what classes would they want to see. For example, if you look at the top, the first one is Event.js. It's probably, it could be a library, but could be some kind of wrapper for events because it's hard to handle them cross-browser. Yeah, then for example, some libraries for booking systems, convert HTML to image. Well, I would like to see one. I would like to use one if someone would made it. Probably IBAN, that would be some kind of verification form. Basically, there are lots of things that you could look at as an author and think, yeah, I could try making it. That could be fun, like Windows Phone 8, because I think they have whole JavaScript API available for Windows Phone 8.
Yes, so that's interesting because especially the keywords for which there are no results in this site. Those are represent opportunities for instance, for somebody to create an innovative component and submit to the site, because and have it popular because some people are looking for them and they know that already. Other than that, you mentioned Windows Phone 8, which you can think it as a trending topic because people are searching for components related with Windows Phone 8. You can see there are other searches for specific technologies. For instance, push state is about
HTML5.
HTML5 push state management of browser history, probably for Ajax applications. And some keywords also seem very interesting, and they reveal very interesting trends in what people are looking for. For instance, you can see here in position 7 biometric. And I think people are looking for biometric authentication solutions. I don't know if it is possible to do it in JavaScript, but at least people are looking for them. Then below you can also see names that are related with barcode generators, like EAN13 and code 28 seem to be about barcodes. Below they also see screen share. People are looking for solutions to share screens, probably with others. And we also see here Huffman compress. Huffman is a popular algorithm for compressing archives, probably zip or tar, GZs, and archives of such formats. And, people seem to be looking for components like that probably do not exist. And it is interesting. Here below again, biometria is the Portuguese word for biometric. So people are searching the site for the same things in different languages, which is interesting. And
people are also searching for authors. For example, 83 is Mark Rolick, which I think is an author of.
Where do you see that?
83. 83.
Oh, 83, the position. I was looking for the number in the keywords.
No.
Oh, exactly. And well, anyway, let me tell you a bit of a secret. In general, I filtered this list by some keywords that probably are distracting. Probably in this case, that probably is Mark Rhodes himself searching for his own classes in the site, and probably did it many times. So nothing against that, but sometimes it's not exactly what most people like to see in the top searches. So we also see some searches for PHP things. So this is not yet the full version, and this is just a reminder of that I will still be reviewing this list to filter those that are probably not very revealing.
One thing I noticed is actually that this year the searches are accepted also with keywords of 2 letters. I think that was a limitation last year, that you could only...
No, actually that's a limitation of the search engine to provide the results, but the keywords are recorded regardless if there are results. Okay. Usually these are the keywords used by authenticated users. So because anonymous users sometimes are robots that are spamming the search engines. So before those filters, you would find lots of odd things, but sometimes there are people that with malicious intentions trying to spam the JavaScript Zeitgeist just to show up. Well, I already did this work of filtering for the PHP Zeitgeist, but I did not complete it for JavaScript because it was not yet published at the time of the recording of this hangout. Well, anyway, I just wanted to just give an overview what you can expect, but in the next days, probably even before this hangout is published, you'll see the results already filtered by to not show so much of these odd searches that probably are unrelated with this site. Well, anyway, this is just to give an idea. about what is this JavaScript Zeitgeist. I hope it is useful. The idea that the main idea of the initiative is to tell people what technologies JavaScript developers have been looking for, so you can probably also study them if they are that relevant. There is a second purpose that is less obvious, which is to help developers that are trying to participate in the JavaScript Innovation Award to get some ideas of probably interesting components that they could develop and for which there is not yet a solution. So that is a sort of a hint for all those that are trying to participate and engage more on this. So basically we covered about this, and now we're going to move on to a topic about something recent that was developed. It is somewhat related with PHP, but it is also related with JavaScript, which is basically related with the feature that was introduced last month, which is to support Composer as a means to install packages. For those not yet familiar with Composer, Composer is a PHP application that can retrieve packages from repositories and install them in the your project environment. Could be in production, could be in your development environment. And the problem is that by default Composer has this limitation of only allowing to install all packages inside a directory named vendor. Usually Composer also generates some code that can act as octoloader for PHP classes. But if you have an application with the so-called asset files, like for instance can be JavaScript files, CSS files, images, and so on, you probably need to have those files installed in a different directory, which is under your website document root. You could be, for instance, install it in htdocs, depending whatever it's called, your document root of your site. So what is new that is presented in this article that I'm showing is some plugins, actually one plugin that I have developed and published it on the PHP classes site that allows to install asset files. You can define some rules in your project, and that I'm showing here an example. This is your typical composer.json file. You define some packages that you need. For instance, you can install the package from JS classes called fast content loader. It will, by default, install it in the vendor directory, but then there is an extra section here that defines where your assets files go. Basically, it defines some actions that can be performed. In this case, it just says that the target for JavaScript files will be, in this case, web/JS. So this would be under your document root. For instance, if your document root of your site is the directory web, in the JS directory, it would put your JavaScript files taken from the package that you can enumerate here. So it will copy the JavaScript files from these packages, in this case fast content loader. And this is something that I have talked a lot in in this article, and also in the PHP, lately in PHP Hangout. I'll talk a lot about it. I've been talking with Cesar Rodas, which is one of the contributors of PHP classes, JS classes, that has asked for PHP classes and JS classes support Composer. Composer is a tool that is becoming very popular in the PHP community, and it made perfect sense to support this, support it in PHP classes and JS classes.
Yeah, that actually was quite interesting incident. I've tried converting one of my, I think, JS classes to Composer, and so the Twitter, my Twitter account is hooked to the JS classes site, and so it posted automatically on Twitter, and I actually got lots of favorites and retweets. So I think there are really many users who enjoy Composer.
Oh, really?
And yeah.
Yes,
they're basically fans of Composers and everyone who uses it. So yeah, it's getting really popular.
Right, that is a bonus feature. The PHP classes and JS classes site have this feature implemented. One of the details of the whole feature is that you are awarded reputation points every time you add any of your packages to the Composer repository. You can add one package or add all, it's up to you. And you are encouraged to add as many as possible. So when you add your packages to the site's Composer repositories, there is also a social notification. If you have attached Twitter and Facebook account, it will also post a message in your timeline saying that you added your packages. And it is interesting to know, as I did not know what was the repercussion of that. So it is interesting that you're telling me that other people are being favoriting your tweets when you automatically post that you have added your package to the repositories.
That was really quite interesting, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think Composer does not yet have a great popularity because it's mostly a command line tool. And a great part of the developers still use Windows. I say still because it has been lowering over time, but it's Windows is still a dominant platform, even for in the development environment. It's like 80%.
What's that supposed to mean? Even for developer environment?
Yeah, well, because in the server environment, most people do not use Windows. That's what I mean.
Okay.
So in the development environment,
got your way out of this one, okay.
Well, what I mean is that most people, as I said, like about 80%, that is in the PHP classes and JS classes statistics, it shows like 80% are using Windows because that's the environment that they feel more comfortable. That's natural. And the point here that I wanted to make is that Composer probably is not very popular as it could be because it's still a command line tool. Once there is a more probably web-based interface to make it work, probably it will become more popular. So but it's still interesting to notice that you are getting lots of people happy for
attention.
For you having added your packages to Composer. And that's an additional way to get attention for your packages too. It's not just the Composer thing. And well, anyway, regarding this, I mentioned that one of the actions, actually the only action for now that this plugin for Composer does is to copy files to a certain directory with a certain pattern, file name pattern. In this case, is ending in .js. But you can define other patterns, other target directories. In the future, it will support other asset installation actions. It could be, for instance, minifying JavaScript files or CSS files. Could be optimizing images so they take less space. Could be, for instance, creating sprites from a set of images, which is also a common asset installation action. And
which is actually the first PHP class for which I think I got some high place in Innovation Awards.
Oh yeah, you mean in PHP classes, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That is interesting because lots of people want to do that because it can make your site more efficient.
True.
It just downloads one image instead of many images, and the way this plugin works is that you no longer have to ship pre-processed files. You no longer have to ship minified JavaScript files or CSS files. The plugin does it at the installation time, because you don't need it until you actually are using it in a site. So it does it at the installation time.
You could actually probably have also two kind of settings for your development environment, which provides the unminimized files, and for deployment, right?
Well, the way it is now, you can define any actions arbitrarily to any files that you want, because you define your own patterns. You can define your own actions. As I mentioned, for now it only supports the copy action, but in the future it will support other actions. It's just this package is very recent. It has a great acceptance, much greater than I thought. Everybody, not everybody, but many people are desiring that Composer provides this feature built in. I don't know if it will provide some feature built in exactly like this, because there are many nuances, there are many details that people may want or not. But it's still a desired feature. And this package is available in the PHP class site, and it does not require authentication. So if you are using it to install your environment, you do not need a username and password to retrieve the package. It's available for anonymous users. That's because some users tend to complain because there are, at least for some packages, there is this requirement to be an authenticated user. But still, this plugin also addresses that problem of having authentication done automatically. You can define a file named auth.json that contains your authentication credentials. So when you use this plugin with Composer, it no longer asks for username and password if you have defined it in your auth.json file. And so this basically addresses several important needs, and probably this feature will be really made built-in Composer because it really has great demand, and I think it should be made built-in. It shouldn't be necessary for an add-on to implement this feature, because you need to load the add-on just to use it, and if it is made available built-in, it will be much better. So it's one less package that you need to install. And anyway, I just wanted to go back a bit to another detail that I wanted to mention, is that other than these actions that this plugin supports for installing files, you can create a package, a class that extends the asset installer class that is provided by this package. So it implements new types of actions. You can read your own parameters from the extra section, extra assets section that I showed here, and you
basically
call this function.
Yeah, basically you can edit it and suit any actions that you might need.
Yes,
like
if you want to have a weird action, for instance, as a roader said that he probably wants to concatenate all JavaScript files that are
into
in a
one.
page. You create a new one. So you can implement a new action that does your custom package installation action. I mean, file installation action to generate those things exactly the way you want. So you are not limited to the built-in installation actions that this class provides. And lots of people told me that they love this possibility, even if they are not going to implement their custom actions. Now it's great to know that they can extend it and do not depend on the author, which is, in the case it's me, to have their to support whatever they want to support in their installation actions. Well, basically, this is it. I think this is a useful feature. I don't know what you think, Arturs, about. Do you think this is something that you probably use? Do you see other people using it?
Yeah, basically, while main projects mostly consist of PHP backend and some CSS JavaScript in front end, then if you divide it all in logical modules and publish them all in JS classes and PHP classes, you can have a full deployment system. Basically, you run one script and it takes all the scripts it needs to build your web app or your website from single call from multiple websites. That's actually quite awesome. Yeah, you can probably also define additional sections from other composer repositories that are not PHP and JS classes, some code that are not OOP based, so you can, like, I don't know, really create the full system that you need to use.
Right, you can do that already. Well, yeah, there was one thing that I wanted to mention. I'm glad you brought that up. Is that the way this plugin is defined, it does not depend on you having certain structure or certain files inside your package. For instance, if you want to use a JavaScript package from JS classes that has some files in there, you do not have to have any files inside that package that define where the JavaScript files should go in your project. This is something that I noticed. There are other asset installers. Mine is not the first. Actually, I've seen several of them. There was one developed by Stefan Orfdorfer. I'm sure I'm not pronouncing his name correctly. I hope you can excuse me. But he has been very helpful. He gave a lot of insights about how to extend Composer using plugins. I looked a lot at his code to learn how to do it. Actually, I spent more time learning than developing. And he had already a package to install assets, but the way to work it sort of seemed to depend on the package that you want to install to have already some Composer JSON files inside and define the rules. And when you are installing a package from a third party, probably those files do not exist in there because it's the criteria of some other developer. And in the way that I define this plugin, you define your own criteria to install your the JavaScript files of those packages. If you have multiple assets packages to install, you can even implement different actions for different packages. So it's quite flexible, and I hope it addresses already the needs of many developers.
And, yeah, so basically, if you're using different libraries and then you have like some kind of the glue JavaScript code that uses all these libraries together, you probably won't be submitting into two JS classes because it's not a package, it's actual code that does something.
Yeah,
and you will host it somewhere else. But in this deployment system, you could actually also grab it from somewhere else, like from GitHub, probably from raw GitHub.
Well, I don't know if you can grab it directly from GitHub. It's possible that Composer allows to do that. But like you said, it's true. You are not required to download all your packages for a specific repository, and given that, you can make the best of your projects with components of different sources. And I think that is great because it's very flexible, as I mentioned. Well, anyway, about this we already covered it fully, and there is not much more to say about it. So we are going to move on to one final section on which we cover the Innovation Award nominees. And this time I need to apologize for having made a mistake last month and having skipped the winners. Instead of talking about the winners of September, I talk about the winners of October. I made a confusion, so my apologies to the winners of September. So to repair my mistake, we are going to go back. Instead of talking of the winners of October, which you already did, let's talk about briefly about these nominees of September. Arturs, do you have any preference about these components that you would like to mention?
Yeah, well, I think we've already talked about sec_store.js, so we can just mention what it does. Basically, what it does, it allows you to encrypt the information you store in your local storage with AES encryption, providing keys.
If you can show it in your screen while you talk, it would be probably interesting just for people.
Okay, unfortunately I didn't set it up, so. You think I could maybe I can show it from let me from the JS classes?
Yes. Do you have multiple monitors?
Yeah. So it's kind of hard to.
Okay.
Yeah. I think we talked quite a lot. Yeah, it should be increased now.
Yeah, it's okay now.
Yeah, so basically we talked about it before, but well, just to mention again that it's actually a jQuery plugin that encrypts information that you are storing in a local storage or cookies, and so we also talked about I think that other vulnerabilities would be where would you store a key. For that, which was an interesting question we didn't have an answer for yet. Yeah, but well, basically just to remind it, what was it about?
Yeah.
So, and this came from author Jason Gerfen from United States. Yeah.
Yes, we also had a whole podcast practically dedicated to PHP security. And by then we also talked about this component.
Oh, okay.
As you mentioned, there is this question. Well, if you are using encryption, you also need to use a key to encrypt and decrypt. So, where is your key stored? Probably the key comes from the server only during the request to actually use the store and retrieve data in the security storage, but then is not stored anywhere.
Or user provides it as a password authentication method
Yeah.
every time
Right.
information is asked.
In any case, I think it shouldn't be stored anywhere, or else it's not really secure.
True.
Okay. Other than that, there are also a couple of other classes. One is JS Rules Guides from Mark Rolich. And this is somewhat unusual, but it's to make it look like Photoshop. You can place some guides to align things.
I just maximize it to show you. It looks something that could be used between web developer and designer, like to make everything align by the lines and to check if everything aligns. I know sometimes I have this problem where my designer I'm working with tells me, well, can't you see that this logo should be 1 or 2 pixels down to match the line? But I usually don't see it. I need to zoom in, move closer to my monitor and to check, maybe put a ruler on my monitor to see, they aren't in one line. So this kind of component would actually be quite useful to check it, to draw the lines on where you need to wait to inject it in the...
I don't know, but this probably is part of a larger solution that probably includes things like dragging and dropping elements on a page, and then use those
there was actually
to snap the objects so they become aligned to whatever are the lines.
Yeah, there was actually a JS measure package from also the same author, so yeah, that probably a combination of packages that provide much greater UI to design the website and to check the design.
Well, I suspect that he's doing a Photoshop killer on the web.
That would be cool.
Yes, so I suspect we can expect more interesting packages like this from him. So congratulations to him. It's somewhat unusual, and that's why it was nominated for the Innovation Award. And finally, we have another package, in this case from Shijo Thomas from India. And this one is jQuery plugin to sort elements on web pages inside a certain container. The container can have different elements. I don't know if the documentation shows an example of this, which is probably...
Basically, no, I just opened HTML file, which is an example, and it basically shows a table with table row elements, and you can see there are different attributes. So basically you can sort by these attributes the table rows or probably the other HTML elements, and the call is basically something like you provide a configuration, what you want to sort on by which properties, what kind of sort, alphanumeric or maybe some others, ascending, descending, set it to the some parent table and sorts its all children elements. So in the same way.
Right. Well, this typically is meant to sort tables, but the way I got it is that it can sort any types of element inside a container. So it could sort table rows, but it can sort also divs and other stuff.
Lists and so on.
Yeah. Well, basically with this we conclude this section of the Innovation Award. I hope the next time we get back to the regular order of nominations and do not make mistakes of skipping months like I did last month. And also I hope we can have more classes to talk about. we didn't have many innovative components in JS classes, but I hope from now on we have more to talk about. I know in the following months we have more to talk about, so let's wait and see what the contributors submit to the site. So with this, we practically ended the podcast. I don't know if you have any final remarks.
Well, just wanted to wish probably a happy new year, everyone.
A bit delayed, but
yeah, but it will be even more late when they see it, but still hadn't chance before.
Yeah, exactly. This month the hangout is sort of delayed because precisely because I was focused on
celebrating.
Not exactly. I was focused on launching that Composer-related feature of installing assets, but now that is done, we are finally recorded it. I hope next month you can record it sooner. There will not be that delay anymore. So on Biometric Alpha, that is all for now. Bye.
Bye.